huge fan of those that take their academics seriously. Welcome to tonight's Baseball Blue Book live Q&A. Going to do something we've been wanting to do for a while. I'm going to do some kind of house cleaning here in the very beginning before I introduce our guests. You know, last night I sent out a tweet, unbeknownst to Eric and those of the Baseball Blue Book hierarchy. And I wanted to do that to see what type of response we would get. Overwhelming. I mean, I'm now up to over 400 videos that have been submitted by high school student athletes, all with the permission of parents. So before I go forward, my name is Walter Beede. Eric Wubena is the, I guess we're going to call him the president and big chief executive officer of the Baseball Blue Book. And we are going to be joined this evening on what we are going to ultimately call the starting lineup. And the starting lineup is going to be a series of interviews that I am going to conduct with student athletes, again, with their parents' permission. And the sole purpose of that is to answer questions. I'm going to give some thoughts as to the video that the student athletes provide and just kind of give them some general information. Couple things right off the top. First of all, nobody has all the answers. I'm certainly not going to sit here and try to proclaim I'm going to have every answer for every student athlete. Fortunately, I have enough mentors in my circle where I can pick up a phone or write an email and I can kind of point student athletes and their families in the general geographical direction based on our discussion. But we're going to do this both live as we are here tonight, as well as I'm going to be doing interviews, and we're going to put them not only on the Baseball Blue Book, we'll put them into the podcast, we'll put them into the YouTube channel, only because other student athletes or other parents may have similar questions. So tonight we are joined from the great state of Minnesota. We have Hunter and we have his dad, Brock Beede, and it's Austin, Minnesota. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Welcome.
And for whatever reason, Eric has gone rogue with his typical loyalties of the Royals and the Pirates, and we are now wearing a Cardinals hat. I'm not sure if there's any significance to that.
No, you know what? Mine was just, I think it was color coordination. I've got a whole bunch of hats, and one of the things that I'm thinking about doing, I interview a lot of coaches and players that have played in the majors. And I like to wear hats that kind of in the range of the area. So St. Louis was a Midwest town, and we're here with the Minnesota guys. I don't have a Twins hat. I asked for one for Christmas, and I did not get one. So that's my daughter's fault. So.
Well, you know, I do want to ask you, Hunter. Out of all the videos that I received last evening. Hunter's kind of caught my eye for a variety of different reasons that we'll go over here in a bit. But the first thing that jumped out at me was the whole academic component. And I want to emphasize, all the student athletes and all the parents that we get a chance to speak with. Huge fan of those that take their academics seriously. That doesn't mean we have to have straight A's. It just has to mean there's a priority given to the academics. So, Hunter, congratulations to you as you're off to a great start. You're at 2024, correct?
2025.
2025, even better. Okay, so you're what I call highly projectable. You're the type of student athlete that I think is a great kind of first addition to the starting lineup because you're very versatile. So I want you to tell us the positions that you play and that you hope to play in college.
So I am a center field / right-handed pitcher. In college, I would like to be an outfielder, but I would also like to pitch whatever I am able to.
And so, Brock, tell me, because when I asked Hunter, and all the time, before I question any student athlete, I want to make sure I'm re-emphasizing. I always ask, do I have the permission of your parents? One of the questions that I asked Hunter was, well, who does your workouts? And he said, I work out with my dad. And so that caught my eye. And then as soon as I asked him about the movement screen. Again, he threw up A game at me. So I want you to tell me, at what point did you get Hunter involved with regard to his physical development? Because you can definitely see that in the videos.
Hunter was lucky enough to play in the junior future games in 2021.
Yeah.
And I think when we got back home, on the way back home, we drove down. I think seeing the older players that we watched, I think he realized he was working, but he wasn't working hard enough or at that level that he wants to try to get to. So I would say August of 2021, it began, and he wanted more. So we've bought the equipment in the basement and research and do as much, talk to him as many coaches as we can, and just start working. So we work out, depending on what's going on, 3 to 5 days a week, and
Awesome.
stay
That's
out there.
exactly what you need to be doing. And I think that's the first thing that caught my eye. So one of the things I want to let parents know, especially those that allowed their student athletes to send some videos, is one of the first, and it's my coaching eye that I'm able to look at some of these videos. First thing I'm going to look at is the current or present physicality, and then the projected body. What's that body going to look like in the fall of 2025? And in Hunter's case, it just stuck right out. I saw an athlete. I saw some physicality. I saw great grades. I saw athleticism. So in my opinion, Hunter, you are definitely on the right path. And so what's some of the questions that you might have early in the process that you would like to kind of have our help navigate?
So one of my biggest questions would have to be about, like, when I am going to commit, or if I am, if I commit before my junior year, because I know that there is restrictions before that, are you still able to, like, let's just say, go to campus, see dorms, talk to like players that are playing at that point, and like see facilities? Or do you have to wait for that till after your junior year?
No, you can. It's a great question, by the way.
Yep.
So we have what they call an official visit, and then we have what they call an unofficial visit. So you would be referring to right now as an unofficial visit, which is basically on the dime of your parents, or if you have a great summer job and you want to pay for yourself to get to a college campus. But that unofficial visit, there's some paperwork that you have to you have to deal with. You have to notify the college that you're going to be on campus for the, this particular time period. There are some perks. You can be given tickets. You have to sign for them. There's no meals that can be provided. There's no housing that can be provided. But as far as going on a campus tour, the college can provide that to you. They can take you around. Sometimes it's the director of baseball operations that handles those duties. And sometimes it can be a volunteer assistant. But absolutely, I strongly encourage, do as many visits as you can. And if you get comfortable, for instance, do you have a dream school? Is there a school out there that you have on your radar that you say, hey, if I can go to that school, that's where I'm going?
I would say not so much of a dream school, but I have top 3 schools.
Okay, fire away.
I would say Xavier, University of Iowa, and University of North Carolina is more like the big dream school.
Okay, so we got Coach Forbes. Now, are you familiar with all these schools as far as with regard to, their recruiting coordinators, or where are you at with those 3 schools?
To an extent, I would say, yeah.
Okay, well, the first thing I want to encourage you to do is I know you have a profile, but I want to make sure, update your videos on the Blue Book and make sure you identify those top 3 schools.
Yeah.
And so, if Coach Forbes and his staff are, they're, looking and they say, hey, we're looking for a center fielder, or I'm looking for a right-handed pitcher, because right out of the gate, you see 87 that you topped out at as a 2025, and you see your GPA, there's going to be people knocking on your door. And so if you put out there, hey, these are the 3 schools, let me tell you what that means. First of all, you yourself feel strongly that you're a Division I caliber baseball player. All 3 of those schools that you mentioned have strong programs. They've made regional appearances. In the case of North Carolina, they've been in super regionals and World Series with Coach Fox. But you're basically telling the college coaches, I feel then in my opinion, I am a Division I caliber student athlete. I strongly encourage you to visit all three if you can. If that's something that you're able to do, whether it's Xavier, Iowa, and then North Carolina, but definitely visit that. But absolutely, you can visit. You can communicate and talk directly with the coaching staff. You can talk to the current student athletes. What I want to let you know, Brock, is I always encourage parents to find their way to the upper kind of levels of the stands, because that's where the parents hang out, by the way. They're never down by the dugout. They're kind of up, behind, the top level. And they'll be able to see, that you have a young son, so they'll put it together. And they're the wealth of information. Parents of current college student athletes, they share so much more about the overall experience as a whole. So
Great point. Yep.
And if, let's say, have you been to any of their camps at all, Hunter?
I have not gone to camps for Xavier, Iowa, or UNC, but I did go to a visit for Iowa and Xavier last summer, and I've also been to a camp at Louisville and the University of Missouri.
All right, so we're talking ACC, SEC, we're talking strong Division
Big
I.
time.
President.
Yep.
And and one of the things, a lot of times when Eric and I are going back and forth, when we talk to college coaches, here's the number one thing they tell us: come to our camp, get to our camp. And there's a lot more to that statement than, pay some money and come to our camp. It gives these college coaches the opportunity for Hunter to get a firsthand kind of feel for the campus, for the cafeteria, for the dorms, for the amenities, for the facilities. And you get to immerse yourself into those things for a few days. And so that's why, I see a lot of parents spending money, Brock, with the case of showcases and tournaments. That money is much better being allocated to saying, okay, you know what, in July this year, we're going to go do the Xavier camp, or we're going to go do the North Carolina camp or the Iowa camp, or do one in the summer, one in the fall, and then one in the following, during the winter camp when they kind of have those prospect camps. But you definitely, Hunter, are going to have a decision to make. College coaches are going to fall in love with the arm strength. You being an athlete, you don't have to make that decision. That's a college thing that's years away. And so just go out and do both for as long as you want to do both. And then when it comes down to the nitty gritty in a college, and I'm not going to use a name because I don't want to put words in any coach's mouth, but one program may say to you, hey, you can come here and do both. Another may say, hey, we love your bat and we want your bat in the lineup every day, but we don't want you to pitch. That's going to be a decision in 2025. As far as 2023 and beyond, let it go.
With the camps, I guess we've been based in the camps on Missouri. We went to on our own. In Louisville, he was invited. So I guess camp wise, we were like more waiting for him to get invites, I guess, before we go to those, unless you feel differently.
Okay, so here's the number one hidden secret. First of all, everything that I just saw is not going to be, different when you send these things out to a college coach. And so one of the things, again, I'm going to pump the tires here, but let's say you go to the directory section of the Blue Book and you basically are going to get the direct contact info, Missouri, Iowa, Xavier, North Carolina, and you say, hey, here's my name, and I have a strong interest in your program because it academically and athletically fit what I feel that I am going to be strongly engaged in as a student athlete upon high school graduation. And I would like to attend your camp. And here's a video of, whether it's my high school season or a tournament, what have you. Mm-hmm. Now, they cannot conduct a conversation with you until September 1st of 2023, but they will tell you in a correspondence, in a roundabout way, we would love to have you attend our camp, and this is our prospect camp. But I can promise you, and this is one of the reasons why we're doing it, and I'm so gosh darn excited, is because you just asked a question that a lot of parents have, and they think what you think. Right, Eric? I mean, that's what I'm going to wait until somebody calls me or contacts me. That's what we want to be. You want to toot your own horn.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to say, because you're working hard at it. And that's the number one thing that you have to understand. If in your heart, I'm working hard at this and I'm working hard in silence, nobody has to tell me that I'm working hard. I know when I look in that glass every morning, I'm working hard. So now proudly you can say to a Coach Forbes, and here's a secret, do it in a video introduction. I just gave this stuff away last week, but because you talk very well and you write very well. And so a lot of boys will write this standard letter and email. Don't buy the hype of having to have a format in your email. 90-second, hi, my name is Hunter, and I live in Minnesota. I am a student athlete with a GPA of this. I've researched your majors at your university. I feel they fit my future expectations, and I feel that I would be best served by attending your camp so that I can get a feel of your campus and your facilities and your program. You say that to a coach in an email, you're separating yourself. You just went to this pile over here.
Yep.
And I think, unless I'm missing something from your videos, that a lot of coaches would love to have you stroll onto campus and participate in, and then after that, it's a whole lot of love.
Walter, a lot of these coaches are looking for leaders, right? They're looking for guys that are willing to step up and make a difference. And I think that video, I'd suggest throw that on the Blue Book. Make practice, get in front of the mirror, 15 seconds, make it quick, make it short, succinct. Nobody wants to sit and listen to a long, drawn out thing. Learn that. It's basically an elevator pitch for you, right? You're promoting you and why they should be interested in at least taking a look at you. And I think that would be really, really neat to see. And then you can email that out to the coaches that you're looking to be invited to the camps. I think that'd be a great idea.
And one last thing, Hunter, if you're technology savvy or you have somebody in your school or your peer group that is technology savvy, putting a little picture in picture with you in the upper left-hand corner with your video playing as far as showing your skill sets, telling the coach who you are, telling them why you feel that you're going to be a great candidate at the college baseball level. That'd be beautiful. Pin that on the Blue Book. Every coach that comes and sees it, boom, they see you. September 1st, the bell rings at midnight, and boom, your phone is going, boom. So,
coaches are getting emails all the time. You want to differentiate yourself. You want to stand out. It's just like anything else. It's a job interview. You're promoting. Heck, you're trying to court somebody, right? You got to stand out. So really encourage you to do that. That's awesome. Hey, by the way, I'm leaning for Iowa, just so you know.
Go
Hawks.
What's next? Because I want to make sure, because I think you are the perfect example of what is in the mind of a high school student athlete. And that's why I wanted you to kind of bat lead off here in the starting lineup. So what other questions can we help you with?
As a parent, so if he's fortunate enough to eventually commit to a school, will the athlete and the family know the cost of said school
prior
at commitment time, or is it going to be surprises afterwards?
Well, here's the number one thing, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because as parents and having lived this, and the student athlete typically looks at North Carolina, I'm going to use as an example, and they don't realize $75,000 or $70,000+, and they hear 50% scholarship, and they think, oh man, this is awesome, and I can't wait to get there. And then as a parent, you're starting to go, okay, 4 times 35, and I'm looking at 150, 160,000 that we have to allocate or find funds for. So what I always encourage parents to do a really kind of a thorough due diligence game plan or checklist. First thing, do you have any test scores? I know I asked you this online, Hunter. Are you going to be taking an ACT or an SAT?
In April, I will be taking an ACT.
Okay, great. Bingo. Perfect. So understand this. Your academic money is going to really be the bread and butter of where you're going to get most of your money. I can promise you that.
Yep.
Center field, if I had to tell you a breakdown of how scholarships are allocated today, and I do think there are going to be changes in your class, the 25 class. But if we're looking at allocation of money, it typically goes pitchers, power or middle of the order bats, or corner bats, they call them. And then it goes catcher and then up the middle, which is short, second, and center field. So center field money, unless you're hitting a lot of home runs, not going to be a big number there. So that's why I'm always telling you, don't throw pitching away, because if you're throwing 93 and they say, oh, if you're a pitcher, we're going to give you that. So you want to always maintain that in your back pocket, but you're going to have some high leverage with academic money. Academic money, again, I'm talking today's version of college baseball. 4 year of your commitment for academic money is for 4 years, as long as you maintain academic structure and routine and requirements. Athletic is year to year. You don't have a good year, they're going to take some of that, all of that, and then you're kind of left on your own, and that's not a fun time. I think there's going to be changes in 2025. The schools that you're mentioning, for the most part, are probably going to be part of that mega conferences type of situation that may arise. There's a lot of discussion going on there about allocations of full rosters, at least 25 to 30 full scholarships for baseball. I see that happening. What schools and what conferences, I don't know. But it is always a good idea to understand 50% to UNC is going to be much different than, say, 50% to, and I'm going to just use them, they're not on your list, LSU. LSU is like a 25 to 30,000 out of state. North Carolina is in that upper 60, 70,000. So 50% is not equal. And so what you really want to have a good idea of, when you take your ACT, keep taking it as often as you can.
Yep. That's why we're taking it early.
Right. And the biggest reason why is there's really three big components to this. First and foremost, in ACT, you can super score. So every time you take it, if you do better in math, better in English, they're always going to use the best combined score. So that's one. Two, any notch above, generally the threshold is about 24. That's about the threshold where financial aid starts to kick in. But as you get into that 26 and 27 window, that creates a little bit more financial aid or grant money or scholarship money. But the biggest thing is you're showing dedication to the student. You're showing determination. You're showing accountability to being a student. And so a lot of times parents will say, oh, he already took it one time. He got a 27. That's great. Okay, but if you keep taking it, you're going to show the admissions department that you care as much for your academics as you do your athletics. And that's always going to help you with regard to financial aid.
Hey, Hunter, what do you want to do? What do you want to study?
My majors that I would like to study are either kinesiology, exercise sports science, biomechanics, or sports medicine, I would say.
Okay, the healthcare.
So you're in the science. You're going to be in the science. And so
Iowa.
Iowa. Okay, right, exactly. So every school, now UNC has a strong program there as well, but every school, when you attend or visit, you want to ask about those majors.
Absolutely.
Find a student athlete that has your major. Ask them, do you find it challenging as far as scheduling courses? Do you find it challenging as far as the time parameters with regard to practice and travel? They're going to kind of point you in the right direction. But always remember where you're currently at with regard to your transcript. Have you registered for the clearinghouse yet?
That was one of our questions. When should we be doing that?
Bingo. Okay, so that you want to start that now, only because, as a 2025, you're going to hit that window here coming into the spring of 23, and that's when all the magic begins to happen, meaning September 1st next year, you're going to start to be aggressively pursued. My opinion is you're going to get some love there on that September 1st evening, late, when I say late midnight. But if you're already in the clearinghouse and school X gives you a call, they may say, hey, can you add our code into your clearinghouse, which only means that anytime you take a test or your transcripts, they automatically are going into, the portal, for lack of a better term. And I'm not using that as far as transfer words. I'm just using that as academic, the admissions department. So if a college coach is interested in Hunter, he's going to go in and check and verify the academic, going to give you a big thumbs up, and is going to say, okay, this is a guy we can aggressively pursue because he knows you're going to qualify for a lot of academic money.
That makes sense.
Yep. I think, but as he's looking at different questions, obviously all those schools are really, really high quality schools, and baseball being the way it is structured from the scholarship perspective, you really need to take a look at the schools from your degree perspective. Really do your homework. Really do evaluation on that side. We've had a lot of other guests on. I think just last week, Walter, we talked about really the 4 steps, the 4 things that coaches look at in what you're doing, and academics is right there on the top. Right, baseball is the fourth one. Right, it's academics, it's financial, it's the social aspects, and then it's baseball. And I really encourage players and parents, don't stray from that, right? Stay consistent in what needs to be done, because a lot of times baseball programs can really, there's a shine, there's a lust, you want to be up there, and it all of a sudden it skews some of the things that you're doing, because long-term, that's going to be a big time decision. And you've got to make sure that, there's a lot of good coaches, there's a lot of good things, but you have to have the other 3 really down pat and really understand that before you move forward to that next one.
Definitely.
Fire away, Captain. Whatever you have, you fire away.
I think that would be most of my questions, right off the top of my head. But I did have another one, but you kind of already answered that with the video introduction type thing.
Yep.
It was just going to be what is the best way to initiate yourself to a coach and introduce yourself, but you answer that with the video.
Well, let me just, first thing is, I want to let you don't get lost in the sea of social media. And by that, I mean, there's no reason to feel intimidated. And as Eric just alluded to, a school let's just use Iowa or Xavier for an example. And I'm certainly not saying that the coaching staff is going to leave for greener pastures, but, college coaches, they do transition, they move, sometimes laterally, sometimes up, based on conference, based on opportunities, et cetera. And you should be doing the same thing, and understand who you are today is not indicative of who you're going to be tomorrow as far as an athlete is concerned. So you want to get coaches to know who Hunter is, because, Hunter, and I'm not talking about Hunter, the baseball player. And, it's one thing one thing that I noticed off the top of my head last evening, you immediately spoke about your dad or your family. And so to me, boom, this is a wee guy, and he certainly gets it. There's a certain cachet to that a coach is going to pick up on. And so it's good for you to say, hi, my name is Hunter Beede, and I'm from Austin, Minnesota. And I'm really open to attending a college, really anywhere in the country that affords me the opportunity to receive a great degree, to be in a campus where I can be part of the student body, be part of the community locally. Those are the types of things that will separate you.
Well, and you could even add some things that you like, right? Coaches they want to know who you are, right? There's a real family aspect to it. They want to get to know people. They usually bring people in that are kind of like-minded. So talk about the things that you like. I'm sure Austin, Minnesota, you're probably an outdoors kind of guy. That might be something you want to talk. Seriously, you want to. This is an interview of who you are, right? Your video will speak of your game and your ability, but who you are. They want to know who you are, and they're going through a lot of different emails and videos of a whole lot of kids. So you want to be able to stand out. So,
where do you play in the summertime, Hunter?
Starting around June 10th, I would say, for travel, and then I I've played varsity for my school since 8th grade, so that's the spring.
Okay, and then
Awesome.
during the summer, what states do you typically get to or go to during the summer?
Last summer, we went to Iowa, Indiana, Kansas City, Missouri, and I think it was Indiana again. And then this summer, we go to Iowa twice, Minnesota once, Indiana, and Wisconsin.
So my suggestion to you would be to kind of try to make your way within your schedule this summer because it sounds as if you hit the Iowas and you hit the Xavier area, you hit the Iowa, the Missouri, you hit those schools. So try to find a date in the summer where you can kind of land, and get to UNC Chapel Hill and introduce yourself to Coach Forbes and his staff, and kind of see what that's like. Don't wait, for the fall and when your schedule academically may get involved. Try to do the North Carolina thing, even if you have to do it when there's no camp. Meaning you can still go to a school when there's no camp and you can walk the grounds. You can request to meet with the coaching staff. Quite sure, I'm not going to say or speak on their behalf, but I'm quite sure based on your academics and your athletic package that they would probably make a coach available to you and show you around. It's a beautiful, beautiful campus. And so my point to telling you that is when the bell rings on September 1st, you go from the hunter to the hunted.
Well, that sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, be careful what you wish for.
You got to be prepared because it's going to knock yourself out, right? You're gonna be pretty overwhelmed.
Yep. Last year when we went on the travel tour, we went to and saw Xavier. We went and saw Iowa, Butler, Illinois. So we made sure when we were on the road that we either had an official campus visit or we at least drove around, walked around.
That's great.
Checked it out.
That's
so,
great.
Brock, how tall are you?
I'm short.
Okay.
I'm only about 5'10", 5'11".
Okay, and so where do you think, or where does the pediatrician, the doc, where do they think Hunter's going to be when he graduates? What would you give him for a height and a weight?
I told him 6'5" or he's moving out. I'm hoping to see 6'2". That would be
okay.
6'2", 210, 200, somewhere in there would be ideal.
Okay, and here's the key question. Hunter, you play center field. Give me a grade on your foot speed today. Don't need it in 2025. Would you say you're elite fast, you're very fast, or average?
I would say I'm just between fast and very fast because obviously there's kids that are a lot faster than me, but I still am a little more fast than most fast people, I would say.
So what I want you to understand
Trick question.
There's a reason for you want to learn two things. You want to learn, be elite at routes to a fly ball, routes, however you want to do it, and then jumps. So there's a big difference between jump and routes. And so if you say to a coach, I want to play center field, you could grow into a right fielder. Now, if I said to you, a coach said to you, let's say, just hypothetically, Iowa, and they had the best academic package for you, and they said, you know what, Hunter, we see you as a great right fielder. What's the first thing that you think of when a coach says that to you?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, do you know that the elite athlete, the best athlete in the outfield plays right field?
Absolutely.
So what I want you to understand is a lot of student athletes take that as a negative. But in reality, I'll tell you a great story. A young man by the name of Rhett Weissman from Massachusetts was a right fielder at Vanderbilt almost out of the gate as a freshman, but he was an elite high school center fielder, fast, strong, power, really, really talented young man. He got to college and he profiled as a right fielder because he had great speed, he had great jumps and took great routes, great hitter, really good advanced hitter, could move runners around, and he had an elite arm. And so a coach sees your arm strength, and if you say, well, I really don't want to pitch, I want to be in the outfield, they're not going to waste that arm strength in center. They're going to say to you, well, you got an elite arm. We're going to put that over in right field. So why I broach this subject, right field is the hardest outfield position to play because a lot of athletes don't play it and they don't understand the tail.
Right.
95% of college baseball is played right on right, meaning right-hand pitcher to right-handed hitter. But the elite programs that you're mentioning, they have great left-hand, really big middle of the order left-hand bats. So the right fielder gets a lot of action because our pitchers throw really hard. So the right-hand hitters are driving baseballs that do that banana thing. And then the left-hand hitters that get up there and they're trying to yank balls out of the yard. So if you play more right field in your travel experiences, or at least learn the routes as a right fielder, you're going to give yourself a really big check mark in the eyes of the college coaches when you can say to them, I've played a lot of right field. That's going to shoot you right up to the top of the list because a lot of boys don't. A lot of boys get moved there and they learn how to play the position.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I personally want Eric. I think this has gone fantastic.
It's been great.
I could have ever thought.
They wrote your script for you.
And Hunter, I want you to understand, this is your life. This is your now. This isn't mine. This isn't your dad's. This isn't any. This is your kind of future. And so the more that you take action towards that, the more accountable you are, the more college coaches are going to engage with you. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you're entering your summer after high school season.
Awesome.
So I want to thank you both, Hunter and Brock. I really appreciate your time. You were absolutely tremendous. If there's anything you ever need from either one of us, anything at the Blue Book, just send us a message, DM just like you have. I'll be following for sure. And I'll kind of watch your summer. And after September 1st, when, the Rocky Bell goes off, if you need any help with regard to kind of keeping everything straight, happy to help you if I can.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
welcome.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck, guys. I'm excited to watch your career, Hunter. It's going to be really, really awesome. So work hard.
Okay, and we're going to answer some questions. Thank you, guys. Okay, Eric, I got a question, and the question that came in is the Blue Book. They're having they want to understand when they load a video, how do they tag? I guess is the correct word.
It's a great question, Walter. It's I guess the way to answer that is it's coming. Remember, the Blue Book has been a printed directory for over 100 years. The app is just released in March. We are constantly upgrading and adding features to it. We're working really hard. We're getting feedback from a lot of people in what we need. We already have a whole long list. Tagging is one of those. It just get them in there now. And in the next few weeks, we're going to be having a lot more features coming in. And we'll make sure everybody knows what those features are as we will post that information in the feed in the app.
Great. I had another question that came in while we were talking with Hunter and Brock, and I want to let parents understand what the purpose is. High school coaches, man, they get kicked like dogs a lot of times. And, we talk college coaches, we talk travel ball. We're going to reemphasize high school baseball, and here's why. I feel extremely strong that the high school coach is the most important, is the most critical component to this whole process. He sees your son every day, whether he's a teacher in school, he's around your son during practice. Those types of aspects and dynamics carry a lot of weight with college coaches. And I can't emphasize that enough. So, the Blue Book tomorrow, our first high school program that we're going to be dealing with tomorrow, John Curtis High School in River Ridge, Louisiana. 28 national titles in football. I believe there are about 11 or 12 state championships in baseball.
Wow.
This is a dynamic group of coaches that are really engaged with the recruiting process. And we want to really get into what we're going to call at the Blue Book, the coach's office. We're going to talk to these high school coaches. A, we want to promote their programs. B, we want to get them to talk to us about some of the issues they may deal with. And we're not picking on parents. We're not picking on umpires. tell us what is really going on at the high school baseball level. And so that's number one. Number two, Blue Book. Every time Eric and I are together, there's one word that is like a common thread that we weave into every single discussion, and that's access.
Yep.
We want to make sure that high school athletes understand this is about them. This isn't about Eric. It's not about Walter. It's not about college coaches. It's about them. So we want to answer just like we did tonight with Hunter. And we want to, you might not be a North Carolina or a Xavier recruit, but you could be a Shenandoah. You could be
Absolutely.
a Tufts University. You could be a Penn State Allegheny. But without us looking at you, we can, if we have that opportunity, we can kind of point you in the right direction. And one of the things that the Blue Book is going to be able to do, not today, but we're going to be able to evaluate and kind of say, hey, you might fit this program. They're
Right.
in your backyard and they're looking for a center fielder. They're looking for a catcher. And so that's what the starting lineup is going to be about. It's going to be the student athlete telling us a little bit about them, telling us a little about where they'd like to go to school, and then we'll break down some video for them, because essentially that's what the app is going to be. Correct, Eric? Am I right?
Oh,
Am I right there?
Absolutely. I wanted to chime in. I appreciate you constantly talking about it, but you know what, the high school thing, I want to go back to the high school thing.
Sure.
Because you're right. You started it with kind of getting kicked a lot. That's where it all begins, right? There's a lot of great high school coaches out there. And, there's been this trend of going to travel ball or finding elite teams, and everybody kind of puts the high school on the back end. But you're absolutely right. Coaches love that. Coaches love to have the recommendations from the high school coach. They understand, they know who you are. They've seen you for a number of years. Travel teams may only know you for a season. But a high school coach, 3, 4, 5, 6 years potentially, that you're playing for these guys, they know you better than most. And I think that you shouldn't discount that even as a player. And we are really excited. I'm thrilled to have the high school coaches into this, because it's one of those it's one of those areas that we've kind of glazed over, right? The high school area. And it's so important that we kind of get back to really, we want to get back to the love of the game. And that's where where it begins.
Well, what I wanted to make sure that everyone understands, we're not kicking travel ball to the curb. That's not what we're saying.
No.
I just got a comment, and I want to make sure. My thing is I equate travel baseball to the sizzle, and the high school baseball is the steak. And I know as a college coach, I would always call the high school coach, because typically, not always, the high school coach has known the student athletes since they were in elementary school or middle school. Maybe it's a sibling of somebody they've coached before, so they have some familiarity. So that there's a lot of variables that you're not going to ask a travel ball coach, tell me about mom or dad, tell me about the brothers or the sisters, because they don't really know.
Right.
Not often. And whereas the high school coach is going to say, you know what, I had his brother as a football player, very accountable, driven, self-motivated. And so that the apple on the tree kind of thing. So that's the whole purpose.
Well, it's it's putting all of it together, right?
Right.
When we talk about high school, this doesn't mean travel's their own thing, and there's a lot of great things. High school, we're just wanting to focus on kind of elevating what that is and highlighting it. The travel ball, they get highlighted all the time. I mean, we know what they are all about,
right?
And
exactly.
So I think that's what it's all about. So, yep.
And that's why I wanted to really make it about high school and the student athlete.
Absolutely.
And I think, again, it's going to be the coach's office, and we're going to talk to high school coaches. And we're not going to do those live. Those will be pre-recorded. They'll be probably 10 or 15 minutes in length. The starting lineup with the athletes will be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. But here's the thing. Once we record those interviews, we're going to put those into the Blue Book. They're going to become part of that student athlete's profile. So now a college coach looks down, he sees center fielder, he sees the GPA. Oh, listen, they talked to Walter or they talked with Eric. And that gives them a sense of who the athlete is and what they're looking for. Sometimes that may generate the interest to initiate contact. And on that point, again, Bill, we love your questions, Bill, because they're always perfect. And I alluded to in my discussion with Hunter and his dad, Brock, about September 1st. The answer to your question, Bill, and Bill asked, is it possible for schools to reach out on September 1st of a student athlete's junior fall that you may not have heard from before? And the answer to that is a definitive yes. A lot of times college coaches will see a student athlete for the first time during the summer. They look down and they say, okay, he's a 2025, which means he's going to be a rising junior next year or this fall coming up. And they'll begin to initiate a dialogue. Now, that doesn't mean that at midnight they're going to reach out, but sometime on or about September 1st, you'll get some form of either a text, a phone call. Typically, could be an email, it could be a snail mail. That's why I always tell student athletes, don't panic. Just because you don't see anything today or hear anything today doesn't mean something's not going on behind you. And so that's really when the gloves go on, is September 1st of your junior year. And as you heard Coach Foster speak of last Thursday, and this, you'll always hear college coaches say, this is the time that they feel is going to become set in stone, much like lacrosse and soccer, that you can no longer commit to a college until September 1st of your junior year. That is not currently the baseball rule. It is in softball and lacrosse. And so I do think baseball will follow suit. I think the committee will vote that in for this coming year in 2023. And I think that's going to go unilaterally across all NCAA Division III programs. So, Bill, don't worry about anything going on behind the scenes. September 1st. Heck, I've seen guys get calls on September 2nd. Everybody feels let down when they don't get that rush of a phone call or text message exchanges on September 1st. Just play it out. Don't worry about that. Let's see. We have one more from Bill.
No, he's just saying thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
And then let's see. Okay. I'd like to ask, is that you, Eric, that's coming at me there?
Yeah, that was me. That was a private chat earlier. So
okay. Shame on me for not looking, because I didn't even know that was
I already got my questions in. I wanted to ask them some non-baseball ones. It's always nice to get to know the kids, what their interests are. So that's what I wanted to go down. So thank you.
Very welcome, Eric. I think we're getting better at this. I don't know about you, but at least I feel we're getting better at it a little bit.
I'm good at listening. I'm good at. You do a great job, Walter. I'm telling you. Every time I think of a question, you pull it out from somewhere. So maybe we are in line.
We have a kinetic sequence that goes on. And for the record, this is unscripted. Eric and I do that purposely, probably much to the dismay of Eric, but I don't want it to be rehearsed. I don't want it to be scripted. I speak from here. That's who I am as a person. I make a lot of mistakes. I say a lot of silly things, but at the end of the day, I rely on my experiences and my friendships. And if we don't have the answers to these questions, I'm going to acknowledge that to whether it's a parent or a student athlete. I'm going to say, I'm going to get back to you on that. But I want to just make sure all parents that have given the permission to the student athletes for the starting lineup fully understand this is not an interrogation. This is not something to break anybody down. It's to provide a platform via the Blue Book, via the social, the world of the internet, for your student athlete or for the student athletes that watch, to tell us who you are, tell us who you want to be, tell us where you want to go. And then the high school coaches, we want to know about your program. We want to know about your coaching philosophies, where you think the high school game fits into this whole process. We want to hear from you. We don't want to tell parents. We want to let parents hear it from the coaches. So again,
access, Walter.
Right. Everything is access. And so this is a live call, and for the next 2 episodes, we have pre-recorded a few Coaches Corner that we do on Thursday evenings. And I just want to give people a heads up. It's out of common courtesy and respect. This is coaches for time for family. They travel.
Yep.
This is the one downtime they have as a break. So our upcoming guest this particular Thursday is Jerry Sheetinger. who is the head coach at Georgia Gwinnett College, which is an NAIA school, which he offers tremendous insight into what NAIA baseball is all about. And if you've never heard from Coach Sheets, I promise you, if there's ever been must viewing, this guy is Mr. Optimism, Mr. Upbeat, and he is one of the preeminent top college coaches in the country. And he offers tremendous insight, not only into Georgia Gwinnett, but NAIA baseball. And then following that, we're going to have guests. We have Tracy Woodson from the Richmond University. Following that, we're going to have a 40-year head coach at Tufts University, which is probably in the top 3 or 4, and John Casey, who will be talking NCAA Division III baseball. And so those are our upcoming guests. They'll be pre-recorded. If you want to send questions in, fire them away down in the comments section below. I strongly encourage you to do 3 things before we wrap up. 1, create a profile on the Baseball Blue Book because it's free. Free today, free tomorrow, free next week, next month, but create a profile. 2, go ahead and subscribe. Get updates from the channels, both. Eric, tell us your podcast channel.
Baseball Blue Book Podcast, both on YouTube and on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
So, and go ahead and subscribe over here at Baseball Lifer. It's okay if you spread the word. It's okay if you tell, friends, family, what have you. If you like the content that Eric and I provide, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us promote the channel. And if you have any questions like Bill, please go ahead and ask those questions because we want to provide the information if we can.
Hey, real quick, Walter, real quick. I've got a couple as well. I've got tomorrow, I'm on with Coach Hardy at Rice University. He's the associate head coach. And then I've got Coach Torresani from Arcadia on Thursday, as well as the Lumber Kings, it's a summer league.
Right.
And so excited to have those guys on my channel. So just again, mine are a little bit different. I just get to know these guys, their personalities, what they like in players. I always encourage players, parents to take a listen. These guys are going to be raising your men for a few years. And so it's good to know who they are from a personality perspective. And so it just brings a different aspect to it.
And I think all of Eric's interviews, I listen to the podcast versions, are great. They're great resources because he interviews from JUCO, Division III, Division II, NAIA. They're coaches from all walks of the college baseball community. Yep. And I just find it to be thoroughly engaging and informative. And I encourage you to go ahead and take a quick kind of tour of all of his guests, both previous and upcoming, because it really can help you as a student athlete and as a family broaden your search with regard to college. So I want to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Everybody. And I next Tuesday, we will not be doing this live next Tuesday. We will be on remote location, as they say. But in its place, I'm going to kind of put some interviews that we're going to be doing over the next few days together, so that parents can kind of get some Q&A directly from the high school coaches and the players. So thank you very much for joining. As always, we enjoy doing this for you. We look forward to seeing you again this coming Thursday as well as next Tuesday. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Walter. Take care. Have a good night.
All right, Captain. Thank you.
Bye-bye.